Child pornography is a big issue, but can a software solve it? Hello everyone,
I'm Rahul Devdhar.
I am Prasanna Naidu, and you're listening to the Right Views podcast. Recently, the cyber wing of Maharashtra Police acquired a software from the Interpol, that is the International Police. It's an international organization that works on international crimes. That would help them. This software would help them track down child pornography uploaded online on the internet. So, how does this software work? How much of it will help the Maharashtra police to track down this pornography? Let's dive into that. So, Rahul sir, are you aware about this news and how does this softwares work?
Yes, actually, this software is basically an enhanced version of a web crawler. Web crawler is basically an automated software which searches the net and it identifies elements within the clips that it is going to search. This is going to search through video files, and in these video files, it is going to check whether the kind of picture that is being shown is it of a person or not as the first step, and if it is of a person, what is the guesstimate of the age of that person, and if there is nudity in that picture that or a video which is it is scanning, and if it is so, then it is going to report it as a child pornography flag. Now there are various systems in place to recognize whether a particular photo is of a person or not, and whether this person is a male or a female, that can be recognized by the computer these days. The computer can also guess or estimate sort of a age of that person, which is not to say that it will exactly estimate the age, but it will sort of approximately identify a person or a character or the picture, the actor in the picture, whether that actor is a young actor, which is considered as a child, or not a young actor. So that much it can decipher. There will always be errors. So this is the concept behind it, and child pornography is a big problem globally. That's why this software is being sought out to track child pornography.
So, from what information I know, it says that this crawler will scan not only images and videos but also text. Uh, I have seen personally many Twitter accounts, even on Instagram, it is very common, and even on Facebook. But I was not expecting this on Twitter, but such pornographic websites, pornographic material is also available on Twitter and also YouTube. They target small YouTube channels and just start spamming it with comments. Uh, so I think the text version will be used on such platforms.
Yes, actually, the text version is very simple. It is the older version, but text version, there is no end to lewd comments pasted on any channel or even on Twitter. The text itself cannot create what is called pornography. What is the issue of, or it is a victim has to be identified, then there has to be an element of crime involved. Only statements will not constitute any crime, but they may lead you to the person who is spreading such statements or making such statements, and through that chain you will get to know that which is the account and where is it,
And
and that sort of thing.
if only such statements are counted as crime, then more than half of the Twitter accounts will be banned.
No, this is actually not. I mean, there are. If you want to understand this concept of when it is a crime, at what point is the crime, then it's a very difficult concept in law to understand when is the crime, and that is at what point it becomes a crime. Does it become a crime when such a video is recorded? Does it become a crime when such a video is shared? or does it become a crime when you like such a video?
In India, it becomes a crime only when it is reported.
Yes, that is true. But will you, if a web crawler bot, which is this is a bot basically, it trolls through internet and goes through everything, every video, every comment, and every post, photo, and tries to identify what is on that photo.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, if you take that and identify it, saying that this is a child pornography, then will you consider it as a reporting of crime, as in the first information report? So, in general, there is let's take a step back and sort of understand the criminal justice system in brief. Not going to talk too much, but the criminal justice system has to be set in motion. Okay. Now, criminal justice system cannot automatically operate. It has to be set in motion. Now, it can be set in motion by different people by reporting a crime, is what you are referring to. It is called the first information report. Now, this report can be done by police officer himself when he is witnessing a crime, or it can be done by any person, and it can be done because of but certain restrictions are there in the law when it is a crime, when it is not a crime. For example, certain things are a crime in public, but they are not crime in private. So there are many such things. So those are the limitations. So the thing is, when such a video is shared, it is a crime. Actually, technically, it's a child pornography. By default, is a crime, and recording such videos itself is a crime. Having that thing shown is itself a crime. Now, the question comes is that at what point will you recognize a crime, and what point you will say that this is a perpetrator, or he is such and such person is a perpetrator. Now, there are various things to consider. For example, if you are tracking the chat transcripts between me and you, someone is tracking, and I have sent a video to you, and now that video is being caught by this software saying this is an objectionable video, and it is been tagged. Now that video is then identified, and then it is said ki I have sent it, so he is the perpetrator in this case, and therefore a investigation is started by the police because of this tag from this software. Then the police come to me and say they look at through whatever video or whatever computer and data and whatever records I have, all the files that I have, and then they look through all sorts of information, and whatever is objectionable can be confiscated. Now let's say a person sends his newborn baby's photo or a video to another person, let's say to his family group. Now, newborn baby is a child by definition of law.
Hmm.
Okay, but can you send a newborn baby's photo in a group? Technically, it is not it is not definition of pornography. It is not, there is no sexual act or as such, but it is still can be identified by the software. Will it identify? We don't know. So
Right.
these are the questions that need to be asked. Then how will this power be controlled? Who will be controlling this power which police have? At what point will my data be confiscated? Now, if I look through your laptop, I'm sure there will be some or the other thing which is objectionable thing which I can find. It could be an app which is banned in India. Maybe it could be a Kindle book. Maybe you have downloaded a report by using some other ID. Let's say you have downloaded a PDF file from United Nations, which is restricted, or someone has shared it online on the internet, which is a restricted file. Let's say you've got the report from Bank of International Settlements or the Bank of England, which was circulated and someone leaked it into the internet, and now you've downloaded it. What if you have downloaded, let's say, this WikiLeaks files, which has been uploaded by this Julian Assange? So if you've downloaded some of these files now, because you have just shared one baby photo, will police get access to your computer and will they get the power to check all of them? Those are the questions which are uh, very, very disturbing. And how this software is just a tool. The person who is behind the tool is the more problematic person.
Yeah, so the police has the right, I mean, it's in their discretion if they spot any crime or any element of crime, if they suspect there is, then they have that right to investigate and, report that crime. So if some such thing is found in any device which they come across, then they obviously can start with a new investigation. Even if they came, for example, even they came and to search my laptop or with my mobile for something which they were suspecting that is pornographic, but they didn't find anything pornographic, but they find something which was,
WikiLeaks का हिलरी क्लिंटन की emails मिले तुम्हारे इस पे.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
copy of that, that is
Hmm.
considered objectionable by the police and you are taken into custody. What will you do?
Yeah, exactly. Tabhi, I can't say that you came here for the pornographic content. Now you can't catch me for some other crime. So obviously
No,
they can.
this is not a good idea because there are lots of things that people do which is not a crime. Okay, suppose you have paid for WikiLeaks secret emails from, let's say, Rahul Gandhi or Shashi Tharoor and Modi to some scamster. Okay, Lalit Modi or some other scamster, and WikiLeaks has got these videos or emails, and then you have downloaded them and kept in your hard disk. Is this a threat? Or Uddhav Thackeray, since Bombay police is involved, Aditya Thackeray's photos are available with you you have made a directory where all photos of Aditya Thackeray in various poses is available in all his parties and all that. You are a fan of Aditya Thackeray. You are a fan of Sachin Tendulkar also. You have got Sachin Tendulkar's photo library also. Now these photos you have copied from the internet, right? These are copyrighted by Times Now or whatever, whoever is the channel reporting it. You have photos of Salman Khan or one of the Sunil Shetty or whoever is your favorite actor, Dharmendra or Akshay Kumar or whoever, and you have photos of them. You also have photos of Trump. Suppose you are a Trump follower, so those photos have been downloaded from internet, which have copyright claims. Right? All these photos have copyright claims.
Yeah.
They are not downloaded from Wikipedia or Wikimedia, which is copyright free or Creative Commons license is there. So will those be considered?
Hmm.
If you have downloaded what you can say, movie from a Pirate Bay or some such
Torrent website.
torrent website, if you have downloaded some torrent movies, then will you be called? Now, I have downloaded certain photos and videos from YouTube. Now, there are softwares to download. YouTube also has got these claims, right? Suppose I have downloaded budding lawyers videos and have kept them in my directory. Okay, secret videos I have downloaded. And then, you can raise a query. So the police, just because I sent a photo of a baby, police came and then booked me for recording budding lawyers videos.
All this pirated material is fine, but I suppose, I guess they won't do it because if they start booking people for this piracy, then all the devices of these policemen will be sacked because they
No,
will be also
it is not like that. No, it is not like that. The question is what they will do is they will create, if let's say they want to target you.
Yeah.
Nowadays, do you know that police have a software to send a message, SMS message from your phone? So without you knowing it, so they will use the software to send a message from your device to my device, saying ki, I have got this explicit photos of these objectionable photos of these children. Why don't you download it? I will be surprised to see ki, how come you are sending this? And then, this whole conversation will be recorded by this, I will click it or maybe I'll not click it or whatever is there. and then because of that, they will trap you or me or both. So these kinds of things are possible, and then those are the problematic areas, and therefore any tool as it is will have to be considered in its usage as to how it is to be used. Now
So there will be some
there are
restrictions, right? Because these things are possible even now, but I guess they are not happening, or at least on a large scale. It may be happening for some secret operations, but not used very
yes.
popularly.
Correct. So it is definitely possible to have checks and balances through magistrates or court system, so that the police is able to use it more effectively. That is definitely is required, and that is what I want to see. That is one aspect that is important part. So software is just a tool. How to use that software, there has to be a guideline and update to the Bombay Police Act
Hmm.
and the Maharashtra Police Act, and those acts will have to control the usage of the powers which, or the way the software will trigger the criminal justice system against a person, because criminal justice system is quite onerous. Once you are, for something as serious as child pornography, if you are found holding this, then you will definitely be in big trouble. Anyways, the beneficial, now this is the limitation and this is the challenge that I immediately comes to mind, but there are also of course beneficial aspects of this software. And one interesting thing which is pre the software time in India, what started was a Facebook group of lost children. So suppose you see a children, begging children, because I mean child pornography is also tied to child trafficking. So this is all a network. So nobody actually forces their own children into this kind of things. So this is linked to child trafficking. So you find innocent children who are in public places, you kidnap them or you entice them and you take them away, and then you bring them into this kind of a it's really a very very disturbing and mentally very, it's very negative world of this trafficking per se of women and children, and it's unbearable to watch some of the atrocities that are being committed there. And initially some people used the beggars, the children who we see begging on streets, they would take the photo of that child and put it up on Facebook, and that way many children were found. So, like a child begging in Mumbai would be found, it would be put up on Facebook, and someone from Guwahati or someone from Rampur in UP or someone from Haryana would come up and say, "This is my child," and then they would be able to unite this child with the parent. And that is what actually prompted this kind of a software based tracking of crimes. And it is actually, if used properly and if used with proper checks and balances, it is possible to find lost children and prevent atrocities and sort of attack the network which creates and finances this child trafficking and child pornography operations. Now child trafficking exists because there is a way to monetize the kidnapped and trafficked children, and one of the ways is to sexually exploit them under various, there are brothels and all these kinds of things. So they are exploited. And another way is to use this pornography thing, which is also one other way of monetizing. Their children are often used as drug mules. So they smuggle drugs for the drug cartels. They are also used for their organ harvesting. So if a child becomes injured and all, then they are used as a donor, organ donor, and their organs are more prized because they are not used as much. So this whole industry is needs to be taken down systematically, and I think in that context, used properly, by an officer of a commissioner or a deputy commissioner rank under his guidance, if it is used. And I think a certain structure can be evolved across police departments of all the states. The problem with internet-based crime is that the crime can originate anywhere. So a video may be recorded in Calcutta or Kolkata, and it may be available in Mumbai, and it may be being shared by a person in Mumbai with a person in, let's say, Dubai or any other country in the world. And yet, the crime where it is committed and which child has been trafficked and where it is, all that investigation, you need coordinated response across the country. And I think it's a good idea because this is the most vulgar of all industries. And it's heartbreaking to see and hear any of these stories from any of these victim, even be it women who are trafficked or children. And the worst of them, worst of worst, is the children. So it is very important to tackle this, and hopefully it will be used in the right manner. Unfortunately, knowing some of our policemen trying to see what they are likely to do with it, they are mostly likely to do nothing. So the software will come, it will be put up in some computer, and that computer will not have a mouse, so nobody will read the report. And for for 500 rupee mouse, the whole project of fate of hundreds of thousands of children will be left to luck. So that is more likely, and that is more what I worry about. So
No,
rather
I
than
guess,
being used,
yeah, such cases may have happened. I agree with that. But here, I think this project which they have started, the Maharashtra Police, I think they are serious, more serious, because they send, I think, some 12 officers to get themselves trained in the South Asian wing of Interpol, and they have come back and they have started training other policemen in the state itself. So I think they are quite serious about it, and I hope it will be carried out properly, this whole operation.
I hope.
Yeah.
And as like even on our channels, what we have been advocating is that the rule of law is not only the important reform, but it is the first reform. And this is the most vulgar part of the criminal system, like murder and theft and all are at one level, but this particular child trafficking, child pornography and assault, and this is most vulgar, and this has to be tackled. So I think we should congratulate Mumbai Maharashtra Police for that, and hope that they use it properly and
Yeah.
so spread it around the country.
Yeah. So one question which came to my mind was, recently there was this software update in WhatsApp, and WhatsApp has an end-to-end encryption thing. Like all our chats are encrypted. So this software or such similar softwares won't work there, right?
See, WhatsApp by itself has its own software and bots, internal bots to check what you are doing. So it's not that what you are doing is not known to anyone. Even if it's encrypted, WhatsApp has the access and keys to watch and learn whatever you are doing on the chat, and whatever they might say, their business depends on understanding what is being shared. They might not know like at a specific degree, but they might have hidden certain details for the software, but they know, they can read your messages. So definitely that kind of privacy is no longer there, and it won't ever be. So the question therefore is that, who has the access to these records? Does WhatsApp have access? So WhatsApp cannot send a message from your behalf. Okay, because the message contains a lot of data which cannot be created, or maybe they can. It really these days one cannot be sure. But this kind of record, when they tamper with your communications, and they can definitely read and track what you're doing. So it's very possible that they are already using the Interpol bot on their servers and going through, trawling through. This is not trolling, but trawling. It's a crawling thing, crawling through all the messages and whatever is being shared. And it's possible that they might be sharing that information to a certain extent with the local police also.
Okay. Because from what I read, the data is encrypted and they keep that data for around 30 days and they delete it. So I don't know.
It's unbelievable. I don't, these kinds of things you have to take it with a pinch of salt. I mean, so what the way WhatsApp or the way these chats work is that, suppose when you send a photo to me, okay, let's say good morning or some happy Diwali kind of a message, then that photo, okay, has a unique data signature because it's a unique photo. Okay. Now that data signature is married with the sender's signature. So first person whoever is sends, let's say you have created this happy Diwali photo, which you have created in your, computer, and this photo you're first sending it to me. And so when you first send it, with that unique photo creates a unique signature, and that signature along with your signature is recorded and sent to me. Okay, it is put in the metadata of that photo. Now what I do is I take that, and I am not going to spend time creating happy Diwali photo. So what I do is I forward it to all my friends. Then one of the friends forwards it to multiple friends, and it travels all across the world, and it goes to, let's say, Donald Trump. Okay. So because it's a 6 degree of separation between any two people in the world, there are 6 steps. So now WhatsApp has the data, because when it appears in Donald Trump's WhatsApp knows that this photo which is appearing on Donald Trump's phone has been sent by Prasanna Naidu, and it has been following this chain.
Okay.
So this is possible for them to know. Now I don't know whether they keep the data for 30 days, 60 days, or for Donald Trump they keep it for 180 days. For Prasanna Naidu they keep it only for 5 days. It's possible, but that's all things are possible. So, and it identifies you as the original creator of that messages. Okay. Now this becomes important in something like this objectionable photos. Okay. Now when objectionable photos get circulated, who is the first person to have started this chain? That is very important to capture. And this is how they capture. You are the person who is, when you send it through the phone encrypts certain data onto that metadata of that file. And that is captured. It was sent through this device. So it was not your laptop, but it was your mobile phone which first created this Happy Diwali photo. And that photo is now on Donald Trump's WhatsApp, but it is on a desktop because you send it through the mobile phone, but I sent it through a desktop WhatsApp, and that is also recorded. This is how it is gone.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Rahul sir. Now I know how to reach Donald Trump. So okay. One more thing which came to my mind was, okay, it's completely fine, and I think it's good that these people went to abroad, learned certain things from Interpol, and came back and they are teaching others. But once they came to know about this, how this software works and how they can use it, why didn't they create such software by themselves? We have many engineers, software developers, and I agree there are many engineers who are actually not engineers, but we really have good talent too. So I think we would have also created. I think there are certain things which that software will not be, capable of, because the geography, the domestic data, and other things which the people who resides in India will know it better than some person abroad. So this software must be developed according to the requirements and needs over there, like where the Interpol organization is, right? So these things also make a difference.
No, it is true, but unfortunately, in India, what the problem is that certain kinds of programming, which is basically there are two, three ways to analyze photos. Okay, so one is the machine learning system, which is basically you tell the computer that these are the 1,000 or 10,000 or 1 million photos of cats,
Hmm.
and the program basically puts together in its own way how to recognize a cat,
Hmm.
and then it is able to recognize a cat. Okay, so this is the way to train the program, and this is how most of your photo processing apps work. So for example, if you have a Google Photos can tell you find photos of Prasanna, then it will find all the photos in which you are there, even though the photo doesn't say that you are there. So the software scans through the photos and estimates that this is what this person looks like, so this is the person. So I'll tell you an interesting anecdote that my Apple software, the Photos software, which is on Apple phones, it is able to sort of find and relate my son's photo with my photo, and sometimes it confuses between whose photo it is. So is it my son or is it my photo from my childhood? So it is not able to confirm whether whose photo is that. So it is also possible to do that. So it means the software is recognizing certain traits and patterns and measurements between, let's say, eye and nose and something like that. And it is able to correlate those. These seem to be similar. Is this the person same? Is that what? It will not confuse between, uh, you know, a male and a female.
Hmm.
That much it can do. So that is what is the kind of power of machine learning software. Now, unfortunately, India is not a big power or a powerhouse in terms of machine learning technology. There are organizations which are into machine learning and they are doing a reasonable job, but they're still not what you can say leaders in this technology. Secondly, let's say if you show a person or if you show the software person, and this is the problem in US now. It's a similar problem. So US photo recognition software looks through profile of all the convicted felons. Okay, and then it tries to look at a person and tries to say whether this is a convicted felon or not. And these kinds of softwares were used for giving loans, which is a something very simple process. It's not for any other purpose, but this kind of machine learning software were used. And because the database of convicted felons had a lot of black people who were convicted for small offenses, like for which white people were not convicted. So a white person having 10 grams of marijuana or cocaine, and a black person with 10 grams of cocaine, the black person with 10 grams of cocaine is a convicted felon and white person is not a convicted felon. Now the problem with this is that this loan software started rejecting black loan applicants, saying ki possible convict
Hmm.
or future convict. So this profiling started happening. Okay. Now this kind of when you are doing softwares,
Hmm.
it's possible to have these kinds of problems. Now let's say in India, pornography is banned, but having an objectionable picture of yourself is not banned. Okay, is that objectionable if I have my own picture in a very, let's say without clothes? Is it banned or not banned?
Yeah,
That's a question.
because
And all these things become complicated thereafter. Because this photo, let's say if I send a photo of my, without clothes,
hmm.
body,
Hmm.
to my doctor saying ki I have a physical ailment, my back or whatever this thing, and this photo gets tagged. What is the repercussion of that? And that is why that is the checks and balances are built within the software itself. Now, if you know some people look like look younger, okay, younger than their age. So they may be 18 or 19, so but they will still look 14 or 15.
Yeah, I am one of them.
So then, will they be tagged as child in this? So all these checks and balances have to evolve in that software, and that kind of expertise, that kind of technological maturity, expertise, maturity of expertise. So the experts who have been dealing in these kinds of software for 10s and 12, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, they have tackled these sorts of problems. Let's say, at a very early stage, or they have techniques to solve these problems. Now we are worried about, we are trying to find people, but this sort of problems were solved or they were attempted for products. Like, can you, from a photo of a car, can you tell, can the computer tell which car it is? And that problems were solved. Can you, from the photo of a monument, can the computer recognize which monument is this? Is it Taj Mahal? Is it Tower of Pisa? Is it Eiffel Tower? What kind of monument is this photo? That kind of problems were solved, and that expertise helps these, programmers to arrive at these checks and balances more efficiently. And in India, the problem is we have all kinds of people. You will have people of different races, people who are dark skinned, fair skinned, medium skinned. You will have people who are curly hairs. You have no hair also. All kinds of people are there. There are people who look completely different from each other. So two people who you see both are Indians, and these are not immigrants, these are native Indians
Yeah.
who are completely looking different.
Mm-hmm.
One is from Himalayas, so he is looking different. One is from southern Himalayas, he is looking different from the northern Himalayas. So all sorts of weird combinations are there, and this all needs to be accepted into the software. And that's why better to go with a trusted software rather than a software throwing all sorts of weird things into the mix. And because this is criminal justice system, it's better to be more alert and also more sensitive about what kind of softwares we use. Which, do they have a bias? Do they have these kinds of, like, for example, at what age will you classify it as child in this case?
Yeah, and
Is
how
12 a child?
perfectly will that software detect the age? Also,
No, it will detect,
from what
but
I know,
how will you?
even the top softwares, the facial recognition ones, the percentage of recognizing the face correctly is very less. Like I think it's less than 10%. So
And if you have used like Instagram filters or something, then you are unrecognizable.
yeah,
Okay.
even though those people who
So,
use those filters are they are not able to recognize those filters.
yeah. So 60-year-old becomes like 16-year-old. You will be tagged as a child, and then you say, "Ki, boss, what is this?" Okay, who is this? This is me. Okay, you can't be you. Computer is saying it's a 16-year-old or
Yeah.
15-year-old, 12-year-old, and you are 40-year-old. How is this?
Hmm.
मैंने तो फिल्टर लगाया, ये वो ऊपर क्राउन लगाया, समथिंग हो गया. Then there are these cameras which mobile phones have, which smoothen the skin,
Hmm.
change the tone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So dark looks fair, fair person looks, I know, ultra fair or something. So those create a problem for this, and then who will recognize? So in any software or any program, there are two types of errors. One is not recognizing, a positive, that is a actual objectionable photo of a child. The software fails to recognize that. That is a worse error, right? You are now exposing that child to further torment. And then there is another error, falsely recognizing many people as child. That is also a problem. So now instead of having 10 cases, you have 50,000 cases of all adults actually who are being classified as child. That is also a problem. So these kind of things need a lot of expertise.
Yeah. Okay.
For example, an older person's as you grow older, your mouth becomes a little droopy. Okay, if you see older people, they have a droopy mouth,
Yeah.
and younger people have, a sort of upward, smiling face
Yeah.
rather, and this is like a frowning face after because of old age. So there was this fellow called Naushir Khoja in my class, whose face only was smiling face. So teacher got angry with him, and still he was smiling. So teacher gave him a, slap with a sk- still he was smiling. So then teacher got very angry. Then his partner told teacher ki his face is only like that, don't trouble him. He is, he always looks smiling only. And then teacher realized ki yes, he always looks smiling. Okay, he can't be serious because even serious face becomes like smiling. So if that kind of problem will, how the software handles these kinds of things is very critical. And these exceptions these are not very small exceptions to have a laugh about, but these are futures of these children
Yeah.
and futures of people who are innocent.
Hmm.
That is also possible. So how will you recognize that, the difference? Now, suppose you are bringing in this software and you are not training the people to use it through the judicious process, like through the criminal justice system, the norms and efficiency. Then also it's a problem. So it's best to have the best software which is available and to get these people trained in a proper software, because then nobody will be able to train you
Hmm.
because your software is different. You can train, but it will be having its own limitations. So you are borrowing a system, hopefully it works. We will see how effective it is and what police do with it and how they are interacting with the judicial system, so that there is no misuse or abuse of this software. Otherwise, police will use this to watch porn instead of catch porn. So hopefully that is not going to happen, and we'll have some breakthrough in these trafficking rackets.
Hmm. Yeah, hope on that positive note, let's end this episode. And yeah, listeners, if you will come across any interesting information regarding this, please share it with us on our Twitter and Instagram. You can DM us on Instagram and obviously tweet us on Twitter. And do watch our videos on YouTube and follow us here to keep updated with the new episodes. Thank you.
Thank you.